I am Tom from Just One Pack, and this is AC On, the short Alpha Clash podcast where I talk all things Alpha Clash on my way to work. Only today, as you might can hear from the lack of background noise, I am not going into work. I'm working from home. I have that option today. So you're not going to be cheated just because I'm working from home. So here we go. So I want to touch on spoiler seasons. I want to boast myself a little bit and then talk about what to come out. So let's dig into that. So starting with boast, I nailed it last week when I said that there would be more green Khagan weapons. And of course there is. So that whole strategy with contender weapons just keep being explored, and hopefully that will make some good and interesting draft play later on. So what we got is there's come up two new Khagan weapons. One is Dragon Scale Armor, which is an epic, where your contender and clash cards get +0/+1 if you lose health. It costs a bit. And Flame Shield, which is a 2 cost. It costs a single to attach, and it has a counter attack. So when you are being attacked, and you can only do that when a clash card you control is the target of the attack. That's the way I read that card. But you may send that contender weapon, the Flame Shield, to Oblivion and sort of nullify the attack. So for 3, you get a protection from an attack removal of one of your things, plus you get a removal for something big and nasty on the other side. It's a trap. It's an open trap, meaning that the opponent can see it, but they kind of want to have to swing if they want to remove stuff. So they're going to have to play around it. I think that is two very good tools. I especially like the Flame Shield, because you can sort of force your opponent to make a more complex choice. And on top of that, there is we already got Fire Mace revealed for a single. Last week, the week before then, can't remember now. So Fire Mace cost a single green. All of these are contender weapons, by the way. And it costs 2 to attach. And then it has both a trigger attach, where the contender gets +1/+0, and a trigger victory. So if you attack with your contender and win, so you sort of want to use your contender for an offensive purpose instead of just sort of being back there, having more passive abilities. I talked about this last week. I think it's a great new space to explore where the contender is actually active in the gameplay. But anyway, he has this. The Fire Mace gives you the ability on trigger victory. If you attack with your contender, then all your clash cards gets +1/+0. So you sort of want to lead with your contender attacking, and then they sort of know that you will be attacking with something else if you've played something. Otherwise, you're gonna play something afterwards, and it's worth it. So I read it this way, that any clash card that turn you control at any given point will get +1/+0, meaning you don't have to have anything out there when you attack, which could mean that they don't want to block or avoid or anything, just let you destroy their single cost or 2 cost the clash card. Give me your victory. And just to support that, or to support all of this setup around contender weapons, the clash buff that comes is also a contender clash buff, giving him it's called Dragon Heart, something like that. It costs a single to buff him, but he gets +2/+2, him being, of course, Khagan in this case. And you get to look for a contender weapon or a non-clash card in your pile. So huge support for the strategy of letting your contender be much more aggressive, aggressive than we've seen. Another strategy has been lent into is not Khagan. It's Pestilence. I'm trying to remember what the contender is called, but Pestilence is coming in the next Clash kits, where you get Pestilence Toxic Presence, maybe something like that, and with him you go play much more around with these toxic counters, sort of stealing the counters from blue, but making them toxic. And the funny thing about toxic, so the other counters we have, like collection counters or street counters and bounty counters, they work in, at least for what I've seen, they work in a single way, meaning that street counters work when street counters are on your things, and you get super speed, or you get to draw cards, or whatever effects mean streak is coming around with. Collection counters makes Haven win, meaning that's a secondary win condition, and give her benefits for that. Where bounty counters is always going to be on the opposite side. Something else has those. So you want to use them to target your opponents. All that is good and well. No notes. However, toxic counters, at least for what we've seen now with the new Pestilence, combined with new and old cards, are now a two-sided thing. Meaning it is both a resource you can use to do things, but it's also something you can put in your opponents that they really want to get rid of. So they, instead of just having them on one side of the board, now you want to spread them out on both sides of the board. Now, the contender, which I'm going to call him Pestilence Toxic Presence, hoping I'm getting that one right. He has this 25 life contender ability that says that you can move any number of toxic counters from one resource to another. I think it's one resource you control to another resource, meaning you can swap around. Why is that important? Because you need to collect 2 or 5 tokens on something to gain the abilities. He himself has if 2 or more toxic counters is put on a clash card your opponent controls, then they discard. They discard the card. I mean, within a turn. So if you, in single turn, can accumulate toxic counters and move them onto your opponent, they have to discard the card. That is very much an annoying effect. And I foresee being tired of playing against Pestilence a lot. I'm already tired of it. But it's an interesting mechanic. Also, what we got spoiled is Pestilence, Harbinger of Desolation. I think that was last week. I can't remember. This is the horseman from the Clash kit. Team Covenant spoiled them, I think this week, actually. Last week, maybe. Anywho, he has this. It's a Clash kit. It's a Clash card. A 3/4 for 5. But you can make it into a spot removal if you collect enough toxic counters on it. You can remove 5 of them and give -5/-5 to some opponent card. That is horrible. That is a lot. So if you can move enough toxic counters on it, you can sort of, as an opponent, see the train approaching and you can't get off the track if you have no way to interact with these tokens. The only way I know that you can interact with tokens right now is simply to kill whatever they're on. So, and removing a 3/4 that is never engaged is kind of not easy. It can be done. I'm not saying it can't, but it's kind of easy. And there was another Pestilence card where you can put a toxic counter. Pestilence the Virulent, a single cost Pestilence that says trigger insert, put a toxic counter on target clash card, and trigger defeat. Put an extra one toxic counter on target. So if you get that in, attack with it, make it die, and remove it again, then you have the 2 toxic counters you need to make your opponent discard a card, which is brilliant. And then for what came in this week is I Am Decay, an uncommon 3 costs that makes you discard 2 cards, then draw 2 cards, and then give toxic counters equal to the number of cards you discarded this turn. Now, mind you, that card may not be the first discard card you made, discarding of cards you made this turn. So there might be more than 2. But the point is, the barrier for making your opponent discard a card is 2. So now you get a 3 cost, which does all the things. For 3, you get to remove a card from your opponent's hand, which is in a thing like Alpha Clash, where you really want to have to build around your card draw. That is taking a significant toll of what you can do on your turn when you're losing cards. Plus, it has some extra ability where I was talking about this. At least I mentioned this, that toxic counters were going both one with the other. All these functions like removal and having effects is always bad for the other. But notice that you can have toxic counters on their stuff, which makes it bad for them. You can toxic counters on your stuff, which gives you an advantage. And I Am Decay, it has a low of text. By the bottom, it says that Harbinger Clash cards get +0/+1 for each toxic counter on them. So now you want to pump up your Harbinger cards as well to have toxic counters on them. So you want to generate a metric ton of these to share among your cards to gain these effects from things like I Am Decay, from Pestilent Harbinger of Desolation, and of course to hurt your opponent with your contender abilities. So that is proper interesting in my opinion. And we can't really do a talk about spoilers and not mention that Team Covenant released their 2 spoilers. One being the promo card, I think, and one being a blue card. So the promo card, I'm not going to delve too much into the promo card. The reason being that I can't get it. Of course, I can get it, but I could just order from it. But if you're not in the US, having a Team Covenant, you need to buy a lot before the price of transport is not horrendous. So that would make prices need to be very, very different if there should be an financial incentive to go get the Team Covenant promos. Maybe somewhere down the line they could be nice in 5 or 6 or 10 years. Maybe. Right now, it doesn't make sense for me. So I'm not going to get my hands on the Team Covenant promo. However, the same card, if I understand correctly, will actually be in the set. So maybe I'm lucky to pull it. The other card that they revealed is the Alpha Rare in the set, which is Genesis the Inevitable. A 5-cost, 6/5, undisputed, unrivaled, and if it should happen being a 6/5, that it gets defeated, it has a trigger defeat, then you take this card, the Genesis Inevitable, and you put it into a resource zone as a resource engaged. Other cards have had this effect, but But what is an extra on Genesis, the inevitable, is that they started playing around with a new thing here. So it got Undisputed, it got Unrivaled. It already had that. But it also has all other abilities among Clash cards in play. So not just on your side, on the opposing side as well. That being Flight or Breakthrough, anything like that. You get that as well. So if your opponent has a flyer, now you do too. If your opponent has a breakthrough, now you do too. So that is coming into play. So it's a Harbinger and it's an alpha rare. So I'm probably not going to get it, but it could be really nice. It looks nice. I'm more realistically, I'm going to build around the commons and uncommons and rares, but it does look nice. And very, very important note, that is the cover art for the set. So I've been rambling on for way too long. I'm just going to say one other thing, or two things here at last. One, it is November 8th that we get Genesis Returns. I'm kind of stoked. I think the set looks really interesting. So I'm looking really forward to building something like Khagan with it. And if you haven't, give this a like or follow and go watch some of the other videos. I'm planning on new content, so in a bit different format. I hope you'll follow to look at the YouTube channel on Just One Pack, or just keep on here. I'll keep you posted. Anyway, that's it from me. Have a good one. Bye.